Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be going over the Elementor widgets, which is everything that we see right over here on this left side panel. So if you haven't watched any of my previous videos where I showed you guys how to install Elementor, how to create and edit a page in Elementor and all that good stuff, I will have all those videos linked down in the description box below, and they will be popping up on the screen here and there. So be sure you guys are going and rewatching those previous videos. I actually just created this showing you guys how easy it is to create, add and create a page using Elementor. So I showed you guys this, and in today's video I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the widgets because I did want to slow down my videos a bit and actually dedicate some time to this left side panel. So with that being said, let's hop right into the video. So I'm just going to scroll down, and what we're going to do is we're going to create two sections. So the first section is going to be a typical 2-column section that we see most of the time on every website known to man right now, and then I'm going to do another section that I got here. I'm going to recreate something similar to this. This is off one of my client sites. So I'm going to recreate something like this, which is basically like a call to action. This is a call to action section where it's literally telling people what's coming or what's going on, and then here is the action that the person needs to take or the viewer needs to take this on the website. And this can be anything. Your call to actions does not necessarily have to be a email sign up. It can actually be a book button, it can be a buy button. So your call to actions can be whatever it is in regards to your actual website. But yeah, so we're going to be making a 2-column section and a call to action, and with that I'm going to be able to show you guys a little bit more about the widgets over here on the left side panel. So the first thing I want you guys to know is that you have a lot of different widgets, but what you see will greatly depend on if you have Elementor Pro and other things that you have installed on your website. So let's just say, for instance, for me, I do have Elementor and Elementor Pro, and if you are one of my clients, you technically will have Elementor Pro installed on your website as well. So you may or may not see these depending on the things that you're able to do on the back end of your website. So if I just close a few of these, or let's just say all of these actually. Okay, so basically right off the bat you see nothing. You see no widgets because I closed or collapsed all of them down. So you have the layout widgets, you have the basic widgets, you have the pro widgets, and you get the picture if I keep going down this. So essentially, like I said before, if you don't have Elementor Pro installed, you will not see this one. But since I do see that one. And you also have other things. So like for me on the back end, when I installed this particular thing to my domain, I had to install this plugin called HT Slider, and with that it granted me some widgets, only 3 widgets, but I do have these widgets over here. Again, if I did not install that plugin on my site in the beginning, I would not have this. And also the basic WordPress. So this is going to really pertain to like the dashboard or like the WordPress backend, and also the post if you have any posts. So essentially these tabs right here of the different widgets will really determine on what you have installed. So if you only have Elementor, you only have like the layout and the basics. If you have Elementor Pro, you will have this one. You have a few more general. They have this new link in bio, that one. And I can quickly show you guys it actually if I go to my portfolio site. So with my portfolio site, you guys can see that if I just collapse these, get rid of some of these, you'll see that I also, since I have a WooCommerce backend installed on my actual portfolio site, that I do now have WooCommerce widgets. And WooCommerce is just a way you can sell products and do e-commerce with WordPress, because a lot of people think that only WordPress is good for blogs, but you can also set up shops using WooCommerce, and because of that I do have all of these widgets. Also, you will see that I have some remote control widgets, and these are actually coming from another one of my plugins. So So now I have that one, I have that one, I have this one, and so on. So as you see, the different plugins you have will vary like what you see over on this side panel. So going back to our basic one, because most of the times, most of my clients, and like I said, if you're new to WordPress, you really just see for the most part these basic few things. So like I said before, the first thing I want to do is make a 2-column section. Let's just say I want an image on one side and I want text on the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the plus button. I'm going to click on Flexbox and I'm going to pick this 2-column section. You can get funky with it depending on what you want to do, what section you're trying to create. You can do whatever you please, but I'm going to go with something super simple and I'm going to get this one. Now what I like to do is click on the 3 or the 6 dots up here at the top. That way you know you are actually on the main container, because if we look at this, as you see, we just created a 2-column container. So this actually says the container, but it houses 2 other inner containers. So you have this pink one being the main one, and this one that's gray on the left is your first child container, and the one on the right is your second child container. So as you noticed, the things over here pretty much changed because now we're editing this container. But let's just say I don't want to edit this container right now, but I want to add some stuff into the container, right? So I'm going to go back over here and click on the plus button, because if you click on the plus button, or if you're still using the old Elementor back-end interface, you would see like the little Rubik's Cube. But anyways, that is what you want to click on when you are looking to add widgets, or in this case it's going to say elements to your actual page. So if I'm saying widget but you see element, they're the same thing. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to open up the basic, because the basic is going to have pretty much everything you need. The first one is going to be the layout. So this is going to determine whether you want to put one container somewhere. I wouldn't do that if you already chose from here, because you already have a container. But you can do that if you want, if you're trying to, really get some stuff done. And you also have the grid, which you can put in here. And as you see, you now have a few different grids. So now you can start putting things in your grid and get to designing. So that's the first thing, the layout. You can choose one container or you can choose a grid, but you can also do that once you go here as well. But since I already have a container with 2 containers in there, I don't want to choose anything from the layout right now. But I will show you a way you can use that in just a second. So I'm going to scroll down, and I know right here on this left hand side, I know a few things I'm going to want. I know the first thing I'm going to want is a divider. So I'm going to search for a divider and I'm going to pull it in. And I'm going to go over each widget in just a second. I'm going to go back over here to add an element, because I know I'm going to want a heading. Click on the plus again. I know I'm going to want a text editor underneath there. Click on that again, and I know I'm going to want a button. But before I do the button, or matter of fact, I am going to do the button because I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to do the button, but we're going to get back to this in just a second. And then I have this other side over here on the right, and I think for this one I want to do a image. So now you see everything is just thrown in here, but now it needs to be styled up. First and foremost, if I close this so you can actually view it, you can see that this container really doesn't have much height, meaning that if it was things underneath here, that container or that section of the website will be really tight. Now, of course, if you were to keep adding, let's just say if I were to copy and paste this consistently, you see it'll get longer, but that's essentially not what we want, because you see it's space at the top and space at the bottom, but it's super tight. So this is what I normally do. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna delete. For now, I'm going to grab some demo text. Okay, so I got my demo text right here, and I think I want to break this up. So let me break it up from there. And maybe from here. Yeah, I think I want to do it like that. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing for my heading. I'm gonna go to the heading. I'm just gonna click on it, but if you click on the pencil, it'll do the same thing, but you actually click anywhere. So I'm just gonna click here, and it's gonna bring it up on the left hand side, and then I'm going to put my heading. And then on this divider right here, I'm going to click on the divider, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this up a little bit. So let's just go ahead and start with this, since that's the first thing in our container. So again, all I did was drop all of my widgets in here. This is as you can see right here, it'll tell you the title of the widget. This is a heading widget, this is a text editor widget, this is a button, and here is a divider. And over on the right side, I put a image. So starting off with this divider, as you see, everything on the left side changes, and now you're in the editor mode for this one piece of widget. So like I said before, I'm on a divider. You can get to changing certain things. You can go with whatever you want. Let's just say I wanted my dividers to be curly. Actually, I don't want it to be curly. Let's go with wavy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten the width, because I actually don't want it to go 100% across. I want it to be about 15. Let's go with 15. And with the element piece down here, you can either have it on none, which is what it is now, where it's literally just the funky divider that you chose. Let me put that back on 15. But you can also use a text in between it or on the side of it, or you can also do an icon. And I think what I want to use is, I think I'm going to use an icon. Let's go here and let's see if they have a bubble. Let's go to, I'm going to use this pump soap. I'm going to insert that. And then I'm going to go on the style. So first I had to do the dividers content. Now I'm going to go to the dividers style, and I'm going to do some edits. So let's just say I want to use the global color that I said, which is our green. I'm going to go for that. And then what I'm going to do, that's the divider color, as you see. I'm going to edit the weight, and maybe let's do 2. All right, let's do 2. The size is okay for now, and I'm going to keep everything the same. Now I'm going to go to the icon, because this is really where I want to make a lot of my adjustments. So right now, as you guys can see, it's in the center. Where I want this to actually be is I'm going to position it to the right, because I don't want it to be in the middle. I want it to be kind of like, you know, aligned with my icon. And I'm actually going to change the color to our primary color, even on here. So I'm going to go back to the divider, grab this color, and I'm going to change the color to our primary color as well. And there you see. So there is my divider. Now I'm going to go over to the dividers advanced tab, and now I want to edit this space. I don't like the space that's above and below. So what I'm going to do is take away the margin. I'm going to unlink it, because if you keep it unlinked, this is what happens. If I set the top to 50, you see it does it for the whole thing. And that's why I want to unlink it, because now at the top I can go -10, 20. Okay, so yeah, -10, and it only does the top, and I can do the same for the bottom. Okay, and I think that's good. That's exactly what I want. And now I'm going to work with the text or the heading. So now I'm going to go over to my second widget, which is the heading widget. And this time what I want to do is, I already edited my text, but if I wanted to add something, let's just say like exclamation mark, I can do that here. Oops. Now I'm going to go to the actual style of the heading, and I want to make a few more edits. So right now the text color is fine because it's on our primary color, but I want to go into the typography because I really want to edit the size of the heading. It doesn't look like a heading to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to choose RAM. Just FYI, default, a lot of website builders will have their font sizing set to pixels, which is okay. That's, you know, the typical thing that people really know about. It's pretty easy for people to navigate through. But for if you really want to get advanced and you really want to make sure that your fonts are responsive, you really want to use RAM. So I'm going to be using that, and I'm going to do, I normally do about 4 RAM or like 3.5 RAM for headings, okay, depending on what I'm doing. So I'm going to go with that, and everything else I'm going to pretty much keep it the same, but you have all these other options down here in terms of like weight, transform, things like that. And I also forgot one thing. I do want to change the font to this font instead. Okay, boom. Okay, so now I'm done with this heading widget. Now I'm going to go to the text widget. I'm just going to click on the text widget. Again, if I wanted to edit any of this text, I would do so. I don't want to. I'm just going to go ahead and go over to the style. And now what I want to do is I actually want to change this to actually be our color as well. And that's about it with this. And now I want to go to this button. So here's the thing. What I'm actually aiming for is for my button to actually sit next to each other. I want 2 buttons right here, kind of like what you would do for a banner section. That's kind of what I want to do for here. So I'm just going to delete both of these. And again, remember in the beginning I told you if you need to do certain things with your design and you need to add a container, this is where a container comes into play. So I'm just going to put a container down here. I'm going to go to the advanced tab for this container because as you see there's some spacing and I don't want that space. So I'm just going to unlink the padding so I no longer have that space right there. And now what I'm going to do is go back and get that button. And then now I'm going to click on that container and make sure that I have it, go to layout, make sure I have it on going left to right. So now you see this button is not full width like it was before. So if I go back, you see this button is actually full width. And you can see it. I actually messed up. I shouldn't have never took the padding off so you guys can see it easily. But you can see the pencil is all the way over here. And this is actually the button. But once I make this container, let's go back to this main container that the button is sitting in. I'm going to make it go left to right. Now you're going to see the button is here. So now I can click on this, right click, duplicate, and they sit next to each other. So if you ever want 2 buttons sitting next to each other, that's where adding an actual container inside of a container comes in handy. So now that I have my buttons, I'm actually going to delete this one because I want to style this one up first so that they can be kind of similar already and I can just go from there. So the first thing I want to do on the content part, I want to change it to the first one. I would say, let's say we have a shop. This button will say shop products. And then it'll have a link over here. Obviously, if you want to add a icon, you can do that. So let's just say, what does shop have? Let's put a shopping cart. And I'm going to position the icon to the right. And I'm going to add a little bit of more spacing, about 10 right there. Now I'm going to go over here to the style tab for the button, and I'm actually going to, for starters, let's give it another color. Let's give it our primary color. Okay, and I do want to add a little bit more padding. I'm thinking 15. Okay, that's looking good. And now what I'm going to do is just simply duplicate this one now that I got it styled up how I want to. And I'm going to go back to the style of this right button. And this time, instead of the fill, I'm going to actually take the fill away. Don't get too scared. I'm going to add something back. Now I'm going to go right here to the border type. I'm going to click solid border. And I want the border to be 1 pixels. And then for the color, because right now it doesn't have a color, that's why we don't see anything, I'm going to use our same green. And I'm also going to go back up here to the text color and put our text color as our green as well, so we can actually see it. Again, this one right here. And what I'm going to do is change the text to say book appointment. And actually for the icon, let's see. So this time I'm going to put, let's do this one. Yeah, I think that's fine. That's nice. Okay, boom. So we're gonna go back. So now, like I told you guys, I forgot I never did it. The spacing at the top of this container and the bottom of the container is really tight. I don't like that at all. I want to give this section some breathing room. So I'm gonna go to the main container, not the left container over here what we've been working with the whole time. I'm gonna go to the main container. And I'm going to go to the advanced tab, and I'm going to add some padding at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to unlink. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 40 at the top and 40 at the bottom, and I'm going to see how that looks. So that's a little bit better. And also what I'm going to do is go back over here to the layout, and I'm actually going to give it a minimum height of VH 100. This means that this section will show. If I scroll down, it will take up the whole entire screen when someone gets to this section. So you're up here first, you scroll down, and this section will take up the entire screen. As you see, it does. And that's what we want. So now I'm going to go over here to the right side widget, because now I want to work with this. I'm going to do the same thing and center it, because I want everything to kind of be inconsistent with one another, as you can see. And right here I'm going to click on edit, because now I want to edit the actual image, and I want to just drop an image in here, select my image, and now my image is uploaded right over here. Also, what I want to do is I want to make sure that this picture can take up as much space in this container as possible. So I'm going to go back to this container, I'm going to go over to the advanced, and I'm going to unlink the padding. Like I told you guys, when it comes to containers, if you unlink the padding, they automatically default a little space, so nothing is just like flush to like the end of anything. But for images, normally I just try to give it as much space as I can with inside of a container, and that's what I did. Go to the container and unlink the padding, because it's like a default thing. You won't see any numbers here, but if you just unlink it, it'll take away that extra space. So like I said, now that I have my picture over here, I'm gonna go back to the picture, and this time under the style tab for the picture, I actually want to give it some radius. Let's give it 15%, I mean not percent, but pixels of radius, and I think that's nice. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a box shadow, but I'm gonna do something really light. -5. Like you can rarely see it, and that's actually what I want. And that's how you use the widgets for like a section like this. As you see, again, we used a divider widget, a heading widget, a text editor widget. We used a container widget because we wanted to make sure we can get two buttons to sit right next to each other. But within that container widget, we used a button widget that we duplicated twice. And for our right column, we end up using a image widget. And again, we go to add an element. We can add anything else in here that we would want if we so desire. So now let's make that other section, and this time all I'm going to do is click on another one. So this time I'm going to actually get another 2 column, but I'm going to make this one super different. So again, we're going to be mimicking this type of layout, like a call to action, and that's what I'm going to do here. So now I'm going to click on the actual container, and this time I'm going to set the view height to 20, which as you see is basically already on that. And I'm going to go to the style of this container widget. I'm going to go to the classic for the background, and I want to make this background color the same thing. So this is what we got so far, and remember, this is going to be a call to action. So I have these 2 columns, but this time I'm going to keep it this short because it's a call to action. Now I'm going to go and add another widget. This time I'm going to add a heading widget, and I'm going to add a text editing widgets. Okay, so first and foremost, with our heading, we want that to be visible, so we're going to make it white. Well, first of all, let's do this. Let's go to our heading here and let's copy the style, and let's go to this one and let's paste the style, but we're going to have to put it back on white. As you see, now it looks like this one, the same sizing, but it's just a different color. So for this, I want to say, we're ready for you. And I'm actually going to break the for you piece. And then for the text editing, the text editor widget, I'm actually going to go to the style of that one, and I'm also going to make that the color white. I'm going to go to content, and this time I'm going to put some other demo. Let's just get some of this one at the top. Copy here, and I'm going to paste it. Boom. Now for this one, I actually still want to do the same thing that I did with the section up here, how I actually want some space at the top and the bottom. So although it's a view height of 20, I want to go to the main container one more time. I'm going to go over here to the advanced, and I'm going to add some padding at the top. I'm going to unlink everything. It's going to make stuff look like it's flushed. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to do 40 at the top, 40 at the bottom, and I'm just going to do 10 on the right and the left, just because I do want a little bit more spacing between the two. So now on this right side of this container, I want to add another widget, but this time I want to add, let's add a form widget. So if you already know what type of widget you do want to add on your page, you can always just search it and see if it's available. I want to put a form, and I have a form widget right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that. Now, I necessarily know right off the bat, I don't need all of these fields. So on the left hand side, again, the actual widget brings up everything that's editable for that widget. I don't need the messages, and I don't need the name. All I need is the email. So I want to center this. I'm going to go to the container, and I'm going to justify that so it can just be centered. That was bothering me. So let me go back now to the actual form widget. In this video, I'm not going to go over all the minor details in order to like set up a form, because that will be its own video that I can do next. But for now, let's just say this is what you wanted, but you just need to style it up now. So let's go to the style. So I'm going to start off with the field, because the form, I'm not too worried about it because it's not much of the form anyway. It's just one field and a button. But for the field, let's say I want the HTML, the placeholder text to be a little bit more lighter in color. Let's go right there. Let's also say I wanted the background color to be transparent. And actually, let me go put this at a whiter one. And then I want the border to just be at the bottom. And I'll just want one and make that white. Let's say this is what I wanted for my email, or not my email, my form. So I'm going to also click on the form widget, and this time now I'm going to go to the advanced, and I'm going to make sure the width was automatically on default, but I wanted it to be on custom, and I'm going to put this at a good 60%. And the good thing about any widget that you put on here, when you are in the advanced tab and you're doing like the margin and the padding, that's basically how the widget actually will sit inside of a container. You can actually align it itself where you want it to be. So as we see right now in this right container right now, our form is more so to the left side. I want it to be in the center. I got it at 50% or 60%, and I want it to just be in the middle of this container. So it's not, if we close this, it don't look kind of like off balance a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go back to the form widget, go to advanced, and this time for align self, I'm going to align it to the center. Now I'm going to close it. And there you go. That's how I like it. One more thing I will say that I should probably do is let's copy that and put that actually over here oops, not down there, in this container as well. Let's put it above, and let's make this actually 2. I'm going to also center this as well, and I'm going to put something like, I'm just being funny right now at this point. But yeah, so I just want the title at the top of this to say something like that, something pretty cool and cutesy at the top of our actual form. And let's just say this pretty much all I want to do. So now I just showed you guys how to use the widgets by dragging and dropping things from your Elementor widget area and putting it in here. Now I went with the basic of the basics, but essentially any widget that you ever add over on the right hand side will do the same thing. Let's just say you wanted to add a carousel underneath here. Again, it's going to open the content, so now you're able to put things inside of each container, or if it was text, you'll be able to edit the text. Basically, the content tab of your widget is where you can basically put the information that's needed and the basics, right? And then you go over to the style for the widget, because we're still on this same widget, the carousel widget. Now we got the styles tab where we can actually make it look like what we want. We can set the colors, we can set spacing, and or whatever it is that it comes with for the style tab. That's what you'll be able to do. And then you also have your advanced tab where you can edit the margin, the padding. So this is basically like the layout, the spacing of the widget, how you want to align it, what order, position, and things like that. Because if I go here and I click on this first section that I created, let's just say you wanted the image to be on the left side and the text to be on the right side. I wouldn't say do that, recommend it too much, because people naturally read left to right, but let's just say you wanted to do that. You can actually change this column, go to the advanced, and you can actually change the order to start. So now you can switch up the position. Now obviously you're going to have to do a little bit more spacing and things like that, because our spacing was set for our text to be on the left side. So I'm going to put that back. And there we go. But you can essentially do anything with these widgets. So we use the basic of the basic widgets, but now you see how you can add these widgets and play around with it and really start to create or craft something that you want to see. This was like super basic, you guys, but I really think and hope you guys got a really good gist of how to use the widgets, or like an idea. And let me know down in the comments below if this video was helpful. Do you understand the Elementor widgets a little bit more? If not, what could I have shown you or done differently in this video? I would really appreciate that. That's all I have for today, and I will see you guys in my next one.